Good evening, everybody. This is Mellissa Thomas of Florida National News coming to you with the nightly news rundown for your Wednesday, April 22nd, 2020. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune in. We always appreciate you. You could be doing anything else, so we definitely appreciate your viewership. So today the audience question has to do with the medical situation going on in the fight for COVID-19, specifically with uninsured folks that are coming in to be tested for COVID-19. So here's a question for you. Do you personally believe that uninsured COVID-19 patients should be tested and treated for free or have their costs subsidized? Leave a comment below and I'll explain. While you're leaving your comment, I'll explain the full story. Today, the Trump administration announced a measure to cover the costs of uninsured patients coming in to be tested and treated for COVID-19. In exchange, medical professionals, whether practicing doctors or hospitals, would then submit their bills directly to the government, and the government will pay them on Medicare with Medicare rates. So that way they still are compensated for their work. So our question to you is, do you believe that that's a good idea? Do you believe that is a worthwhile measure? Leave a comment below and let us know your thoughts on that. A little bit more information about the measure for you. Now, the Health and Human Services Secretary, Alex Azar, he didn't give a specific monetary amount for this measure, but he did say that he is confident that it will fall within the $100 billion that is allocated for the medical field to receive extra funding during this time in the fight of COVID-19. Before Wednesday, 30 billion had already been distributed out in additional aid to help the medical industry. And prior to the virus, 28 million Americans were uninsured. But as a result of those who are employees that have been furloughed or laid off, that's 12 to 35 million people who are potentially uninsured right now. But again, leave your comments below. Let us know what your thoughts are, if that's a great idea. And if not, what do you think should be done? How do you think COVID-19 patients should receive their treatment, or what measures should be put in place to help them? And speaking of COVID-19 updates, of course, we always give you guys the updated numbers. So for today, according to the World Health Organization, the total number of confirmed cases are 2.47 million with 169,000 deaths. Here in the United States, we're at nearly 777,000 confirmed cases with 37,000 plus deaths, unfortunately. Here in the state of Florida, we're looking at 28,000 plus confirmed cases, and we're nearing the 900 mark in terms of confirmed COVID-19 deaths. Now, jumping back to the international front for a second, we're going to go to the nation of Sweden, which has not been observing the social distancing and lockdown options or not options, but guidelines provided by the World Health Organization. Now, unfortunately for them, because they have not been observing the lockdown measures, today was actually one of their largest spikes. Today, they felt one of the greatest impacts, with 682 confirmed cases and 172 confirmed deaths over the course of the last 24 hours. In total, the country of Sweden is looking at 16,000 confirmed cases and over 1,900 deaths. So for those who perhaps do not take social distancing seriously, do not understand whether or not it flattens the curve, the nation of Sweden is currently a cautionary tale, because they have the highest cases right now compared to most of their fellow Scandinavian countries. So stay tuned right here at FloridaNationalNews.com as we continue to provide COVID-19 updates. Now, another risk to consider in terms of lack of social distancing is the population that has been affected by unrest. And according to the Associated Press, we're talking about 70 million people that have been displaced around the world due to war or civil unrest. And as a result of that, 10 million of those people are now populated in settlements or in camps. You're seeing a camp right now here. This is a camp out of Bangladesh in the photo. Now, this risk is that most of those people have not been tested at all for COVID-19. So there's no telling whether or not they are carrying the virus. And because they're in such close proximity, there's a possibility of a second wave in whatever their respective location is. So that's definitely something to consider. Stay tuned right here at FloridaNationalNews.com as we continue to bring you those world updates. On the national front, we're going to jump over to the state of California, and they've done an interesting study in a small town of Bolinas, California, which partnered with the University of California, San Francisco. And because it's a smaller town, they were able to test everyone in the town. The population is a little over 60 people. However, they chose the town because it is located near a very busy highway. So there's still a risk for exposure to COVID-19. And in this study, they test the population for the COVID-19 virus as well as the antibodies, because they want to find out if anyone has contracted it and overcame it. Now, the good news is that California is not alone in this study. Other small towns around the country have been doing the same thing, including Telluride, Colorado, and even here in the state of Florida, Fisher Island has been doing the same thing. So we'll continue to bring you those updates as we learn more. Speaking of the state of Florida, we want to jump over to a little bit of good news that is unrelated to COVID-19, but SpaceX is announcing a launch on May 27th. And the significance of this launch is that it is actually the first crewed launch, meaning the first manned launch in almost a decade. SpaceX has teamed up with NASA for this launch, which will take off at the Kennedy Space Center using the same launch pad as the retired space shuttle, Launch Pad 39A. So be sure to tune into that on May 27th. And if you're in the area and are able to observe social distancing, if it's open, then perhaps head to Kennedy Space Center or watch it from a nearby site, because launches are typically very visible. So congratulations to SpaceX on that announcement. Now, jumping over to the business side of things, very quickly, you heard us talking about companies that are starting to gradually reopen as a result of easing the measures, seeing the numbers kind of come down a little bit. Well, Hard Rock Cafe is feeling a pinch right now, even in their measures. So far, they've reopened one of their hotels in Shenzhen, China, and the hotel has been open for 3.5 weeks now. And unfortunately, they're only seeing 12% occupancy rates, even after 3.5 weeks of being careful reopening. So again, another cautionary tale for businesses that want to slowly stagger and phase back into business as usual in the midst of COVID-19, particularly when there is still no official vaccine that is available to the general population. Now, jumping over to entertainment, we've got some good news coming from the entertainment side as well. Charlize Theron is joining the COVID-19 fight. She is pledging $1 million in the fight against COVID-19, and half of it, $500,000, is actually going towards the fight against domestic violence. As you've likely heard, domestic violence statistics have increased as a result of the quarantine, which is an unfortunate consequence. What she's done through her nonprofit company, Africa Outreach Project, she launched an initiative on Wednesday called Together for Her. With that initiative, the $500,000 will be given to various nonprofit organizations and community-based organizations around the world that fight domestic violence. So while she's helping folks fight the virus, she's also helping in the fight against domestic violence. So congratulations to Charlize. In other entertainment news, HBO Max, speaking of May 27th, HBO Max will be launching its platform on May 27th, and it will be one of the more expensive platforms, running at $14.99 a month for those who want to stream HBO shows. Their goal is to reach 80 million subscribers by 2025. Currently, they're at 35 million right now. So huge congratulations to HBO. On the sports end of things, we've got two stories for you. One that is COVID-19 related, so we'll head into that story first. In South Dakota, there are going to be 2 races happening this weekend, despite the quarantining measures that are still in place. As you likely heard the debate, a lot of the reopening measures has still been left up to the governors of the respective states. So in South Dakota, Governor Kristi Noem has decided that despite the risk of the amount of attendees that will be attending both races, This will be happening in Jefferson, South Dakota over the weekend. Despite the possibility of the attendees maxing out or being over the 60 attendees, she has been lax about the measures. She is not enforcing or canceling or postponing those races. She's allowing them to continue, saying that she wants her folks to have a, quote, sense of normalcy, end quote. Those are her words, to return to enjoying sporting events. So the Saturday race will be happening at Park Jefferson International Speedway. The Sunday race will be taking place at New Raceway Park. Again, cautionary tale for those who may not take the social distancing seriously. In the city of Jefferson, there are 7 confirmed cases there. So perhaps that low number was what she considered in terms of not being stringent on the measure. In other sports news, of course, the NFL draft starts tomorrow. So be right here at FloridaNationalNews.com as we bring you our coverage through our own Casey Hudson, who will be doing her special coverage Thursday, Friday, and Saturday throughout the NFL draft. But our big news here with the NFL draft tonight is the advertising has actually exploded for the NFL draft. Given the cancellation of so many other sporting events, companies and advertisers who have budgets specifically set aside for sporting events and sponsorships, they were looking for something to latch onto. And given that the NFL draft is going to be virtual and they're expecting a huge viewership, more advertisers have latched on. There are over 100 brands and over 60 new advertisers that have signed on. And on YouTube, YouTube is actually charging $250,000 for what they call a premium takeover. And ironically, for those of you who may hear that and think that's a big number, that's actually still less than what will be charged for a Super Bowl ad. So congratulations to the NFL. The NFL draft will be aired on ESPN and other ABC stations and streamed across various platforms. You'll be able to catch it pretty much any and everywhere because it is such a major sporting event. And it's a breath of fresh air for those who are looking for something more recent to watch, since a lot of sporting channels have been running reruns or documentaries. So this will be something fresh and recent for sports fans to be able to enjoy. One quick programming note for you guys in the world of entertainment. On Friday, we've got our Entertainment Buzz show coming up with Jenny Rosario de Casiano, and she will be having an interview with international Latin jazz star Tito Puente Jr. So make sure you stay tuned right here Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for that interview. As for me, that does it here for us tonight here at Nightly News Rundown. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune in. And again, make sure you leave a comment below. Let us know what your thoughts are on the question. Should uninsured COVID-19 patients be subsidized? Should they be able to be treated and tested and treated for free? But leave your comments below. Let us know what your thoughts are on that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. As always, you guys are appreciated. Take care and have a blessed evening.